Who wants to make an ethanol / bourbon company where we make high proof bourbons that also run cars? I will say all the opinions are not the opinions of Hack Notice. These are our own personal opinions, and we are intoxicated, so we're not liable. Welcome to another Bourbon and Breaches, where we cover one of our favorite bourbons and the top 5 most interesting data breaches from this last week. I'm Steve.
I am Shu. Howdy.
I'm Nikki.
Brandon.
Great. And let's go ahead and jump right in to the bourbon. So this week, we have another double gold winner from the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. This week, we have David Nicholson, 1843. So I knew nothing about this bourbon in the slightest. I picked it off the double gold list because the double gold list has been treating us well for the last few episodes. So went in completely blind. Spoiler alert, it's a great bourbon and has a really interesting history. So a little bit about David Nicholson. It looks like they have one bourbon offered in 2 flavors, 1843 and Reserve. They are a Lux Row distillers. So they are in Bardstown, Kentucky. Looks like we've got 1792, Heavenly Hill, Willett, lots of other distilleries right here. Shu, did you go to Lux Row when you went to the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky?
I did not. In that area was Heaven Hill, and I drove by Willett and waved hi to Willett, but I did not go to Lux Row.
Well, seems like you missed out. Looks like lots of fun distilleries down here. I think Makers is somewhere in this general area. Are they in Bloomfield?
Yeah, Makers is by itself in kind of a green area somewhere.
Oh, right. They're in Loretto.
Yeah.
There they are.
Yeah.
I've never been to Kentucky, but I'm starting to memorize Kentucky based on where the different distilleries are.
Louisville is a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to going back one day.
So David Nicholson, to jump right into it, we can't find the mash bill. Maybe it's a trade secret. I went looking for it. I could find a note about the mash bill for the Reserve, and they said undisclosed. So it's your bet what is in the mash. But reading up a little bit about 1843, it has associations with Pappy Van Winkle and W.L. Weller. And that makes a lot of sense. So when I first tried this earlier in the week, my immediate thought was this tastes a lot like Weller, but it had a bit more character and depth to it. So I'm going to go ahead and pour it here. We've got a really pretty caramel or dark caramel color to it. And on the nose, you can really get a lot of that wheat to it. So immediately, you know, it feels very wheat forward. If you've had a wheated bourbon, that smells like a very nice, smooth caramely. You know, I think people have said maybe some vanilla, baking spices, but I'm getting mostly caramel on this. And then having it, so I do believe there's some rye in here because it's got a bit of that rye spice to it. It's got some heat on it, but it's incredibly smooth. And it's got this nice caramel flavor throughout. So I was really surprised. I was going into this blind. I wasn't expecting very much. And this is completely outperforming all of my expectations. One of the best things about 1843 is the MSRP. I got it for like $29.50. So I got it here in the heart of Austin for less than $30. And I was not expecting the level of complexity and smoothness that I got from this bottle. So highly recommend it. It's a great value. It is very much sipping bourbon, and I think this could easily be a daily bourbon as well. So, cheers.
I'd like to point out that website you're using, it says we use cookies soaked in whiskey to ensure we give you the best experience on our website. I didn't realize that was an option in setting cookies.
I do appreciate that. Well, now all of my cookies are tainted by whiskey, so got drunk browser cookies. What's everyone else drinking? So enough about 1843, which is very much a good buy. San Francisco World Spirits Competition double gold winner in both 2017 and 2015. But what are you drinking, Brandon?
I have Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Very light, very drinkable.
Very nice. I think that's also a double gold winner. We've never had that one on this show. What are your thoughts on that one?
I like it. It's a good everyday whiskey. Pretty light.
Well, let's jump right into it. Nikki, what do you have for us this week?
We've got quite a few breaches. First one, headline reads, Russian government spies are behind a broad hacking campaign that has breached U.S. agencies and a top cyber firm. I believe it was this weekend when we were on Slack sharing a bunch of the stories and updates. But essentially, the Russian government hackers who breached a top cybersecurity firm are behind a global espionage campaign that also compromised the Treasury and Commerce departments and other U.S. government agencies, according to people familiar with the matter. I think the updates that have been rolling in over the past couple of days has the number to 5 agencies now, and it's through a local company, SolarWinds, that was breached that enabled this whole set of dominoes to come toppling down. But SolarWinds products are used by organizations all across the world. They include all 5 branches of the U.S. military, the Pentagon, State Department, Justice Department, NASA, the Executive Office of the President, and the National Security Agency. So a long list, and a lot of people are affected. Wanted to put this one at the top. What do you guys think?
So, quick update to that one. Stories that have come out more recently say over 18,000 organizations have been impacted.
Yeah.
I find it incredibly suspect that this happened, and then both Google, Microsoft, and a lot of other companies had outages this week.
Yeah, wow, this is a pretty sophisticated. I'm going to go on the record and say that I'm always skeptical when government agencies blame other agencies, even though that's what everyone says. But just for the record, I maintain some skepticism on whether it is Russia, because this is very easy to say that, and the average person doesn't really have any proof of that. So, but anyways, let's just say that it is Cozy Bear. This was a pretty darn sophisticated attack. Looking at the technical details, from what I understand, is that they basically went into an exchange server that SolarWinds operated, got a key, and generated other keys that allowed devices to say, yes, I trust this server. So whenever you go to any sort of server, it says, do you trust this device? There's a secret key that goes back and forth. That's what they hacked, and that's what they generated. So pretty novel.
Out of all the companies in your supply chain that you don't want hacked is your DevOps cloud provider. SolarWinds, this is the worst nightmare of so many organizations, because all change management, all DevOps, all supply chain management goes through SolarWinds. You put SolarWinds agents on every single device, and you give them pretty much full access to everything, because that's how you provide a central repository of what's going on in your dev environment. So this is so bad. And I think if this hack didn't happen within a week of FireEye, I think this would be the hack of the year. But this is only like it's I think maybe a close second now, because FireEye was an incredibly terrible hack. But yeah, like I feel the ramifications of this will be felt for all of 2021. You're going to see, 18,000 organizations, you're going to see 18,000 organizations do data breach disclosures over the next 9 months. And it's soon going to be a question of who wasn't included in SolarWinds hack.
So I'm going to call out SolarWinds here, because of this hack. They got a lot of attention, and there were a lot of eyes on what they are currently doing and what they have previously done. And it was found out from around 2017 to 2019, they had an FTP update server whose credentials were out there on GitHub. The password was SolarWinds123, and A, don't have a weak password like that. B, don't release the credentials on GitHub. And also, they had advised their customers, from what I understand, to just go ahead and ignore all antivirus and cert warnings when updating from this server. So even if you have protections on what you were downloading from the server, SolarWinds themselves told you ignore those warnings.
Didn't all this happen through an Exchange server? And who's still using Exchange servers in 2020?
That is true. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Brandon, have you seen an Exchange server in the last 10 years?
What's an Exchange server?
Exactly. Exactly. Like, Microsoft gets a lot of flack, but haven't they had Azure and like Microsoft 365 for 10 years? They were late to the whole cloud email game, but if you're still rolling your own email server, what are you, the Clinton campaign?
Looks like we're only getting the Koch brothers as clients from now on.
Well, our proximity to Houston, I'm perfectly fine with. All right. Well, SolarWinds, the worst is yet to come. So, Nikki, number 2.
U.S. schools are buying phone hacking tech that the FBI used to investigate terrorists. This is a pretty strong headline, but known as mobile device forensic tools, this type of tech is available to siphon text messages, photos, and application data from students' devices. This is quite a turn in terms of privacy for students. What are your thoughts?
Shu, you go first, because I'm going to rant about this.
Okay. As far as a technical aspect goes, I guarantee you, so the Gizmodo article was very light on technical details, but I will guarantee you that this is not a product that can break into your latest iPhone. The San Bernardino attack, the FBI was rumored to pay Celebrite, the same company on this, $1 million for that hack. And people that know iOS security and Android security knows that $1 million to break into a phone is not an outrageous price. So when they're citing, $6,500, $2,800, maybe it's the same hack, but that tool was used for a very specific device, iPhone 5 SE, I believe, running iOS 9. Who today runs an iPhone 5 running iOS 9? So no one. So maybe on their sales cycle, they say, okay, we have the latest and greatest. We're going to sell it to the federal governments, maybe state governments for $1 million. And as people update and this becomes more useless, hey, there's a opportunity to sell for a far cheaper price. it's also much easier to break into Android devices and older Android devices. So again, the technical details are sparse in this article, but I would think that a lot of this is mitigated by updates from Apple and Android.
So I think you're completely right. I don't think any of this is going to work on modern devices, especially not Apple with their sandboxing. Android, there's so many flavors, so many vulnerabilities. It could work on some Android. All that aside, one, this is a horrible invasion of privacy. Two, you're going to find stuff on those phones you don't want to see, right? But the big issue here is you are proving that zero trust is the only path forward. You, as a phone owner, have to assume that even as a kid in school, grade school, K through 12, if you have a phone, you have to assume that there is a malicious authoritarian figure that's going to come and take it and use sophisticated tools to break into it to see all of your information. And on the one hand, it's horrible that kids have to deal with that. But on the other hand, do you want more security professionals? Because that's how you get more security professionals. Like, one of the reasons I learned about security is because of authoritarian dictators at high schools that would investigate everything we did, right? And so you find ways around what they're monitoring, right? Oh, you're going to block websites? Okay, I'll just learn how to use a proxy. It's like, oh, you're not going to let me play games on your computer? That's cool. I'm going to root the whole device. I'm going to, get whatever I want. So I feel like by doing this and doing it poorly, they're actually building up a lot of kids that are going to be paranoid. They're going to be highly sophisticated with technology, and they're going to eventually learn hacking techniques, right? They're going to learn how to get around, and bypass resources. So if you're a kid in high school right now that's learning new ways to protect yourself and your phone, and adopting security tools like Signal for secure messaging, encrypted end-to-end communication, you're learning how to delete records after the fact to make sure they're fully deleted, then you're learning life skills. And ultimately, if you get really good at hacking, please reach out to us at Hack Notice, because we are certainly hiring.
Pretty much, yes. And I would like to thank Dr. Chris Rich, who is my principal, for where I am now.
Yep. Computer networking class. We were not supposed to be playing games, but we found out ways to do it anyway.
Fun fact: I was cleaning out boxes, and I ran across this. This is the first disk I used to pirate a game.
Nice.
I copied Lemmings onto it, and I got caught by my teacher, and he yelled at me.
You've got a 3D printed save icon.
That's right.
Well, Nikki, I think all of this will not be to the benefit of the schools, but I think we may be seeing the next generation of hackers. Poorly run, authoritarian school districts will do nothing but encourage kids to learn how to bypass the rules.
Ready for number 3?
Let's do it.
1 million U.S. dental patients impacted by data breach. People are still going to the dentist, believe it or not. Dental Care Alliance discovered October 11th. They've been a victim of a hack that began a month prior, September 18th. And then in November, they put out a statement that said, hey, 1 million people, 1,004,304 people were affected by the incident. But don't worry, a lot of your data was shared, but there has been no specific evidence that personal information was used for malicious purposes. Therefore, we are not going to give you free credit monitoring or anything like that. What do you guys think about this one in particular?
If you get breached and you say, it's fine. Like, I'm sorry, but you should not be allowed on the internet. We'll just cut your cord and you can go sell, paper.
They are not only going to get sued by every state AG office, they are going to be sued by any ambulance chasing lawyer out there. Anyone that can take this opportunity will. And to say we have no specific, the exact quote was, we have no specific evidence that personal information was used for malicious purposes. Anyone that has administered a server will know that it's very easy not to have specific evidence. Pretty much any server, as you install it, will not have that specific evidence of who is of really what. It's very easy to lose that evidence when you do default installs of servers.
I think this is a perfect example of what not to do with a breach. I think there are several data privacy lawyers that they could have easily hired to save themselves millions of dollars in lawsuits.
I agree. And just some rough napkin math, a million people, or a little bit over a million people were affected. They said, only 10% of bank accounts of that million people. That's still 100,000 people where you had bank accounts numbers released. So
they say every record costs roughly $100 for a data breach. So if they had 1 million records, that's $100 million data breach. And if they're not willing to pay 2 cents a user for ID theft or credit monitoring, then they deserve what they get.
Yeah, credit monitoring retail to the end user, if you're not doing it right, is like $9 or $10. So this would be pennies for the company to spy it in bulk.
All right, number 4, data breach we're covering today. Massive Instagram click farm found following data breach. It was discovered in a command and control server that contained data for tens of thousands of Instagram profiles. Does this go along with what you guys kind of preach in terms of when you're on the internet, just lie, make up fake accounts, and
Oh no, I think this is wildly different. But before we get into that, Nikki, can you say click farm found following 5 times fast?
click farm found following, click farm farm,
Oh,
click farm, click farm.
That's a shot.
I read that a couple of times.
That's a
Massive
shot.
Instagram click farm found following data breach. Whew.
Yeah, that is a mouthful. Huh. What? All those Instagram influencers are really just people paying off bots? I'm shocked.
Yeah, click farms are a thing. We all know it. It's it's not even $5 a click anymore, right? It's
And it's been known. It's been known on Instagram that there are influencers that bought their way to the top. And the fact that some of the dark patterns they've been using to become influencers are becoming well known, shocking to like no one. So
Okay. Breach number 5 from Bleeping Computer. Fake data breach alerts used to steal Ledger cryptocurrency wallets. This one was pretty interesting, and I saved it for last because we had covered the Nigerian prince scam evolution in the last episode.
So phishing attacks are always clever, and a phishing attack simulating a data breach disclosure, that's just incredibly sophisticated. So kudos to the hacker that thought that up. because the worst thing that could happen to a crypto exchange is a hacker breaking in, right? So the hacker doesn't break in. The hacker just says, oh, let me go ahead and pretend that a break-in happened and steal the data on the back end. And then, so my general advice, never click a link in an email. I will routinely see an email and they're like, hey, visit us at ledger.com to learn more about the data breach. I'll be like, cool, I'll just type that in. Like, I don't need to click a link. I'll just type it in. I'll just go to ledger.com and see what's going on. So just don't click links in emails. And then if on any web page you're on, always look at the URL. And if the URL is not an incredibly short, like ledger.com, if it's some like weird, if it keeps going and going and going, it's not real. Just get out of there.
I agree 100%. I would like to point out the screenshots there. That lock by the URL is there, and we have pounded for at least decades, make sure that the traffic is encrypted. It's stupidly easy to get a certificate these days. They did get a certificate, but they spoofed the URL. So that advice we have been giving does not matter anymore. The URL is wrong. It is bad. So, and I've gotten this. I've gotten alerts from my bank saying, hey, you've got this issue with your account. What do I do? I manually log in to my bank, because at that point, if there is really an issue, my bank will alert me through the messaging center of whatever system that they have, and I will call them. I will not trust a URL.
Yeah, that's completely right, Shu. You can't just trust an SSL connection. An SSL connection means that it's encrypted from your computer to their server. That's
all
it.
it means. That's it. Yep.
So you could have a very secure connection to a hacker, right? Like it doesn't mean this is a verified company. You have to, I mean, it's hard to say, no one's going to do it, but you really need to be suspicious of everything that happens online.
All that lock means is that another hacker can't sniff your traffic that you have connected to another hacker.
And that doesn't even matter anymore. You can do SSL interrupts based on routers. So I know a company that continuously had problems with Hack Notice, but it's because their router was doing SSL interrupt. They would do SSL traffic to the router. They would stop. They would read all the traffic, and then they would do SSL traffic to the internet.
Oh.
And so you can't trust the lock. You probably can't even trust your internet connection. You have to not trust anyone, and you have to be incredibly paranoid to get along on the internet, because the internet was built was with zero trust as the beginning. They didn't consider trust. They thought everything would happen perfectly, which means it's zero trust. You have to trust no one and nothing. I feel incredibly bad for users of Ledger. As someone involved in crypto myself, you have to know, if you hold any crypto, you are a target, because it's incredibly easy to monetize breaking into you. And you need to have an online monitoring service. You have to, because hackers are actively targeting you. Like, hackers will solicit Bitcoin wallets and Monero wallets. They very much want to get access to your system. Well, thanks everyone for joining. This has been another episode of Bourbon and Breaches, last one of 2020. If you liked what you saw today, like, follow, subscribe, and comment. And there's a dog. There's a dog in Nikki's screen. If you have any suggestions for us, bourbons or breaches, you can contact us directly at hacknotice.com. And with that, thanks everyone.
Happy New Year.